Welcome to Able Pathways podcast. I'm Annabelle Ferber, founder of Able Pathways, where we provide executive function coaching for neurodiverse individuals and professional development for educators. Our podcast explores the windy journeys of learning and growth. Each episode, we travel the unique pathways taken by a diverse range of interesting people as they reflect on pivotal moments in their lives that led to unexpected insights and transformation. Through these conversations, we hope to illuminate the infinite pathways for how we grow and learn. Visit our show notes for links, information about our speakers, and resources mentioned on this episode. Well, Prerna, it is so nice to have you on the podcast here. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
all the way from Sikkim via Zoom. I would love if you would want to share with our audience what you are interested in reading or watching or listening to.
I love to watch movies with a happy ending. And, the one part is I watch the ending first.
To make sure it's happy?
It's happy. So I think most of my friends and my cousin doesn't want to sit with me and watch because I know what is going to happen at the end, and then I go and rewatch. If it is my type, I feel if it is happy ending, I get like that satisfaction. This is what I want. So I think watching a movie, but I make sure it has a happy ending.
So no horror movies for you.
I have till date, I have not watched single horror movie.
Mm-hmm. I'm like you. I don't like to be scared. At all. Do you do that with books? Do you read like a fiction book? Do you read the end to make sure as well?
Yes, I do read I read fiction book most of the time, and then which has a very happy ending. And then if there is, so the ending that I don't like it, that makes me think. I wish the writer would have done this, that. So I think that makes me feel, oh, this is not a right ending. He should have done this way, or she should have done this way.
So, what is something that you do for yourself that makes you feel good or brings you some happiness?
Love to go to gym because I feel if I were not a teacher, I would have become a gym instructor. Something that I can do after teaching is like, going regularly in the gym and spending time. That is something that I love to do. So I was trying to do online course also, no? Because I do a lot. It's been 5 to 6 years now. And then I was looking for the course to become a gym instructor so that after 50 years, maybe I would be the oldest gym instructor.
That would be so cool.
Everyone think about being a gym instructor at their peak age. I'm thinking to be that after 60, after I retire.
I love this. I think that's beautiful. And it will keep you very young, your body very young, right?
Yeah, that's something that, I love to do during my free time. And then I was thinking all the time I had that in my mind, this is something that I would love to learn or, try to do after the teaching, something.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I want to get into the main part of our conversation today and ask you about what got you into teaching. Where did that start for you, that journey?
so most of the members in my family are teachers. So that made me realize teaching is really important, and the way they used to get respect from the others, that respect pulled me towards the teaching first, because my mother, my sister, and my boma, we call his cousins, are all teachers. So from there, I really wanted to be a teacher. I've seen my mother teaching, and I used to go with her during my holiday time and then sit down, listen the way she teach. And then that from the childhood to days only, I wanted to become a teacher. And after I completed my college, I joined one of the institution and started teaching.
Did you like it right away? Like when you started to study it and practice?
No. Not at all. So when I became a teacher, I felt it was, I did not want to do that job. doing the correction, of 40 copies, or writing the question answer on the board, reading for them.
Yeah.
So it was something very tasking. I think it was like, you give the question, you write the answer for the student, you give the question, you answer. So my student were only copy pasting, right? And the big thing was like everybody in the classroom had the same answer because the teacher had written on the board. So then I correct the same copies, 45 copies, and then it become like it's a habit. No, you 45 same answers, and then I felt like, no, this is not my. I do not want to be a teacher where you write, you get the same thing, and then it's a rotation. Same thing is going on and
Same
on.
thing every time. Yeah.
So I felt like, this is not what I wanted to do. So initially I was not happy with my job teaching. So I felt it was like a robotic kind of a thing.
Yeah. But that doesn't sound like we spoke a little bit. That doesn't sound like the type of teaching that you do now. What was got you from that sort of teaching environment into something that wasn't robotic?
Let me talk about the past. So initially what happened, I joined that institution, right? And then we had the English literature book. And one of my colleague who was really, really helpful person had helped me to, she used to make all the question answer because I was new, right? And then I wanted to do my best. So I used to ask copy from her, and she used to give it to me. So there are different sections, section A, section B, section C, of all the grades. So she was section B teacher. And because I was new in that institution, I used to borrow the copy from her, write exactly what the section B had written, what she had given it to the student. And then that was done. My brain was not utilized because I was just doing what my friend is doing, because I was worried because it's a new thing. I don't want it to be away from the job, or I should not be kicked out, right? So to do my best, I used to go and ask her for the copy that she has completed. And I used to borrow from her and do exactly the same. So do the question answer, write meanings, what she has written, and then give it to the student, and then later correct it. But now the thing have changed. The teaching style is completely new. So in this institution where I'm working right now, it's totally different. It's not about doing the question answer or, exactly the same what we used to do. Now we talk about skills, right? Comprehension skills, where the student will read on their own. We just teach them different types of skill, and they sit down and write down their own answer with evidence. And then one thing also I realized, it's okay if you have the evidence, you can write it down. It does not have to be same. So that one of the perspective of teaching has changed so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah. Fascinating. Well, we'll probably talk more about that. You're at Taktse International School. We can circle back to that. But I would love to hear about, when we think about our resume or our CV, we are thinking very professionally about the skills. And so yours is probably very much related to teaching. But are there skills you have that don't make it on to your professional resume that you value about yourself?
I think I have become a very reflective person. That will not be in my resume, but then I come back and I think about what happened the entire day. I became a very reflective person, right? I come back and see, was I mean to my colleague, or have I done something wrong? In a positive note also, is there something better I can do, right? And coming back and thinking about certain things, that I have become very reflective about what I say, what I do, and also, how can I do this thing better? So that was not in my mind when before Taxi. It was something like, oh, I'm done, means done. But now I come back, I think about, okay, this is the thing, and this is what I want to do best. I think this happened because of the lesson plan. So when I make a lesson plan every day, I come back and I see, okay, this did not work. I'm going to do a different way. So these kind of thinking skill had changed my own personal life, where, this did not work. So I'll go for this and this. So I think somewhere I have learned a lot, not only being a teacher, but as a human being. Okay, this is going to be helpful. And also looking at some of I would say, I also look at it. I predict things. okay,
Mm.
if I do this, this will happen. If this is my case. So these are some of the skills that I have developed in my own life, not only as a teacher, but in my own life. Okay, this is what is going to happen. This is what I predict both. Something
Yeah.
really awesome, something that
Yeah.
is so. I think I'll be ready in both the ways.
I love that. In some ways, what you described was like the ability to look backwards and the ability to look forwards, both in the reflection piece and the prediction piece, and thinking about it to help you grow. It sounds like to help you continue to, as a person, but also as a teacher.
Teacher.
If someone were to ask me what skills do good teachers need, I think it might be what you just said, the ability to reflect backwards and really assess what went well, what did not go well, and the ability to think, if I do this, how will that impact my students or my community or whatever? Mhm. Um, yeah, that's wonderful. When you started teaching to where you are now, and how long have you been teaching for? I'm sorry, I didn't ask that.
This is 12, 13, 14, 15, 17 years of teaching.
17 years. What's changed about your understanding about the way that students learn? What did you think when you were a young teacher, beginning teacher, to something that you know now that's different?
I think initially I used to feel that some of the students will never learn. I had the assumption that these students
Yes.
are weak, very weak,
Yeah.
never improve. That was my thinking. Because
Mhm.
even if I'm just trying a lot, it did not work. But now I look now with now after I believe that each and every student have different capability, and also they learn in different ways. Some love visual, right? Some love stories, some love to, just to connect. And that's how their understanding is. So it's not only about chalk and board now anymore. It's about how do you want them to build their capability. So that had changed my thinking about the student who is really weak. And then when I see them progress, that made me feel like no, everybody's equal in very different way. But I should not tell them you are weak or you are not able to do it. Because as a teacher, initially I say, oh, he or she is very weak. He'll not get there. But then after certain years, he becomes a lawyer, right? He becomes some businessman or a great influencer. And then I feel, no, I was not correct, right? There were some maybe different ways I would have done differently. So that changed. So it's not about how I see them and what are the different ways. I think sitting down with them and talking to them
Yes.
and
Yes.
opening with them is one of the great support a teacher can give it to the student, because that's what I have learned so far in
Oh,
my journey.
that's so important. I remember being told in, I want to say sixth grade, maybe sixth or seventh grade, by my math teacher that I could not do math, that I was
Mhm.
terrible at math. And because he was a teacher, I assumed he was right, that
Mhm.
he knows more than me. He must be right. I'm terrible at math. And then I moved to a new school and I started eighth grade and had a new math teacher. And I told her, I'm terrible at math. Just so I
Mhm.
told her before I even did, I'm bad at math. And she said, "Oh, are you? Why don't you stay after class? Let's go over some things." And she gave me time and attention. And that was the first time I got A's in math because she believed in me. So was it my skills or was it the teaching and the teacher? And for me, that was an example from my own life of what you say to a student really impacts them.
Matters.
And who cares about that teacher who told me I was bad at math? What I care about is this teacher who said, "No, you can do this. I believe in you, and I'm gonna help you and give you more practice problems," because it was also that I had less skills, but I had less skills because I put less time into them because I had already been told I was bad at it. So it becomes a circle where it can become,
Yeah.
true. So I'm so grateful to that teacher who said, no, you can become good at this. Let me help you.
Yes, I think as a teacher, no, with time as a teacher, I think it is very important for us to know that students value our words, a line, a phrase, everything. One of the parent in the parent PTC told us recently that teachers are God. No more doctors, not God anymore, because they think what the teachers say is correct, right? And then I also agree to that, because when I say certain things, no, kids keep that in their mind. For instance, once I told to Karma, I think I really love the way you participate, right? But however, I want you to be a better writer as well, because you don't love writing. I want you to be a better writer. And then after giving this gyan, I forgot that I have mentioned that, right? And after 2 weeks, he came and told me, "Have you checked my writing copyright? And have I improved?" I was like, okay, because there are so many kids we forget, right, but they will not. So when I looked at his copy, it he had written a lot of things, and then I said, wow, this is what I wanted. So after that day, I believed that, it's very important to check what we are uttering from our mouth, especially when the kids are listening, because because once we say it, they will keep them in their mind. It will be there with them forever. It is very important for the teacher to see or to check what they are saying about each kids. So there are so many instances that happen. Yes, they did really, really listen to us. I think to some extent, we are also helping the new generation to make the world better. So I think we
Yes.
should check ourselves a lot of
Yes.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. What we say and how we say it. And I loved in the example you gave that you started by telling the student what they're already good at. You're very good at participating. And that's really, it's like, you're important, you are valuable, and here's some room for you to grow so that, this ability is with you for your life. I think we all like to be spoken to that way. Right? In, some of the work I do, we often talk about making a sandwich. So if you imagine a sandwich is 2 pieces of bread with a filling, and the filling is the thing that you need to tell them that might be a little bit critical or might be about making improvements. But if you start with the bread of something positive and valuable, authentically valuable about them, then the little criticism, and then another piece of bread, something nice again, then it's easier for people to take that in and not get defensive and not feel like they're fighting with you or that it's more
Okay.
of a conversation. Oh,
Another thing I noticed, that how you address them is also very important. Yes, my son, how are you today? Yes, my beautiful daughter, can you tell me how are you feeling? Or, for example, my dear, this is
yeah.
not what I want. So these small, small
Yes.
words, as a teacher, it changed the way they feel. They
Yeah.
feel Miss Prerna is treats me like a son, treats me like a daughter. So it's okay. Sometimes she gets angry, and she tells me certain things. Oh, hello, my son. This is not what I wanted. I am so upset. These small, small words really, really helped me to
Yeah.
connect with my uh, students a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes I tell, oh, hero, this is not how you work. These no addressing as a teacher, it's very important. So they feel, oh, Miss really cares for me, right?
I was
So
gonna
this,
yeah, she's saying this because she cares about me. She's not saying this because she hates me or thinks I'm stupid or those things that can cause wounds, heart wounds, right? Um, that's really beautiful. Is there an experience you've had that really changed the way that you understand what it is to teach? Is there a specific example you can think of that really shifted that perspective for you?
E- Okay, so teaching for me was just to give education. I was thinking that way, right? You teach them to write summary, right? You teach them to do certain things. But then now what I realize with time is that it is not about just the content. It is not about just the content. It is about how can we change their perspective about life, or perspective about things, to be creative. Because initially it was my thinking as a teacher was totally different. Now
Yeah.
I know through this text, I am not only teaching them how to write the question answer, I'm also teaching them what do you want to do? What society do you want to live in? Right? When I was teaching this particular poem about a boy who was all alone, right? And then I threw the question at them and I told them, hey, what do you think? What will you do? Or even in the classroom, like I don't have a moral science book or any religious book. There's a problem. I sit with them. I say, look, I don't know anything. I don't know how to solve this problem because it's in your classroom in grade 5. I need your help. I'm just a facilitator. I really, really need your help. And these are the problem, right? That's what you're. Now I need your suggestions. I need you to help me out. And the way they had helped me, the way they come, like, sometimes I feel like, are they fifth graders? Amazing solution, which I have never thought of, right?
Yeah.
The thing they wanted to help each other. Like, I think, I cannot be, I was in fifth grade long time back. I don't know how it feels, what to do. But when I ask them certain age, because they are there in that room, they feel the age group, the same age group. So I
Yeah.
think they will be able to give more ideas or maybe more things that will solve the problem. So I think that is something that shifted me. Instead of I giving a lot of lecture, I sit down and I said, help me out. I need your help. And I have seen most of my teachers, the new teachers, come and observe. And they are themselves, so surprised to see student giving the ideas, telling, let's do this way. I think this will work. So they know all the solution, and sometimes, yes, they come up with such an idea, and then I come back and again I think, wow, was I like this in grade 5? Was I able to think about all these kind of things?
Yeah.
So I
But
feel sometime my battery.
Zoom takes a lot of battery.
Yeah.
What you described, I think, is, in teaching there is specific knowledge that you want to share and bring awareness to for students, but it's also teaching how to think. And you can do that by modeling out loud. Adults can do that by modeling out loud. Oh, I'm thinking about this. Oh, wait, I didn't think about that. We can show them what it looks like, but the real learning comes from practicing it. And what you just described was you gave space and opportunity for the students to practice thinking, creative thinking, critical thinking, problem solving. And that is a lesson that you created. And I just think that's so important. And there's so many teachers who feel like they have to fill the space or fill the knowledge in rather than giving opportunity and time to practice the skill. And that's so important.
Because I noticed one thing now, they know about ChatGPT. They read on their own. They know everything, right? As in, like, they can comprehend things. But these are some of the skills that will really help this new generation, where you give them the problem and you think about the solution, and then, okay, this is how long will you going to try it? So I think something that is, we as an individual, we have to think, because initially when we were student, AI was not there. We have to think a lot of things. But then now, for education, like if you want to write a persuasive or essay writing, they can just skim read and then get an idea. However, another skills in life, like, problem solving or thinking, which is coming a lot. I think that is also, I
Yeah.
think, very important for
Yes.
along with my journey, I could think about, okay, this is also very important. And they are very bright.
Yeah. I would love to ask you, we often talk about learning from failure or learning from mistakes, and that can feel kind of abstract. And so I wanted to ask you if there was a specific example of a setback that really reshaped the way that you teach and the way that you approach your work.
Think unlearning was very difficult for me. How I learned in my school and then, unlearn everything and then try to do something different was very difficult. I initially thought the teaching they are doing at Taktse is wrong. I felt when I first joined, I felt they are not, no, this is not the right thing. They will not be able to complete syllabus on time, right? And kids will not get good grades. So these are the thing in my mind. I felt like, it's a disaster initially when I joined. Okay. So, but with time, now the time has come where I feel, no, we are producing intelligent human being. We are producing the student who can ask question. It's not about completing syllabus or getting 100 out of 100, mugging up entire thing. So, that is something that I felt it was a failure initially, but then now I feel it is very important. because I see a change in a one individual. How, the thinking, the way they think is totally different. The way they ask questions, not only to the, if, and then the way they give feedback to the teachers. The student can get up and tell me, Ms. Prerna, today's class was really boring, right? And I wanted to do this thing, right? And then, but then with time, I learned it. But initially, it was like, no, this is not what we want. We just need to complete the syllabus, and then we need to make them ready. Just looking at the book, the content.
Yeah.
But then with time now, I know it is very important to teach them in a very different way. Like ask question, right? Ask question. If you are not satisfied with the way the teacher is teaching, stand up, give feedback. And then how do you give? It is also very important. We model it, right? If I can give feedback to my student, they also have the freedom to give it to us, which was initially I felt it was I think initially I felt it was, how can a student give feedback to a teacher? A teacher is always correct.
Because that was your
That's
experience, right?
yes, yeah.
When you were, a child.
I mean, I thought the teacher is always right, no, but then now when I sit down with them and the way they tell me, Ms. Prerna, today's class is boring, or today was so interesting. Thank you so much for the class. So then I realize it is very important to give, the give and take relationship. It's very important to
Yes.
have a relationship where you can be vocal, give feedback, and also have a courage to take feedback from the young member in the community. And what I've noticed is that if I give feedback with evidence and I wanted to, they do this exactly the same thing. One of the feedback they told to in recent this month was, Ms. Prerna, can you slow down when you're speaking? Okay, because you're too fast.
You're thinking,
That makes
yes, very
sense.
fast. Yeah.
And then another feedback they gave me was, in a flip chart, I use a neon color sketch pen and it is not visible. So these were the two feedback they gave me, and it is not visible. Use another color sketch pen or a marker. So it is so. Before I used to feel like, oh no, I cannot do that. I'm the teacher, but now I feel like this is what I wanted. I wanted to be a best teacher. I wanted to learn. They giving me feedback and then they helping me. Like if am not able to pronounce some word, and if the free graders help me to pronounce, I turn and say, "Thank you so much. You helped me. I could not do that." So you know how is it important for me to not to feel I'm the best, and I want to learn from my student. And it's okay to make mistakes. So that is where everything.
Yeah, yeah. As you were speaking, that was exactly what I was thinking about, was that you're modeling and creating a culture where it's not just okay to make a mistake, and that is how we learned. You're modeling that. If we punish not knowing things, then what kind of system is that? Of course the students don't know everything. That's why they're in school. So, like, they should be able to make mistakes without catastrophic repercussions, right? Like, "Oh, now you failed the class." These are things that will not develop into strong learners. Then we do learn by seeing other people show us how to respond, how to think, how to problem solve, how to take feedback and make improvements. So that must be so powerful for your students to see you show that to them and to embrace it, and maybe they feel less afraid and then they become more open to learning.
So I think it's like a give and take relationship between teachers and a student. Because if you want them to be someone very different, this is how I can help them, right? So that's what I feel like. Being a teacher it's something different, and it's not about one sided. You're the best. It's okay to make mistake. That's what I've learned so far in my
Yeah.
journey.
That's so powerful. What do you love about teaching? You said you've been how many years?
17
You said
years now.
17. 17. So obviously there's something you love about it. But what keeps you loving this?
My husband says, no, when you be with he is also a teacher. So my husband tells me that, Prerna, when you are with the student, you will never age. You become young all the time. And I agree to that point because, we laugh with them, we joke with them, okay, we yell at them, but so many things, emotion gets, but most of the time is all being very happy inside the classroom. It is most of the time I'm always happy. The kids, you have so many different types of varieties of kids, and then you just enjoy watching them. So I think that is that I really love. You are there inside the classroom and you see them. Some of them are pretending to be really awesome student, right? Some of them are looking and they're asking for sweets, right? Some of them trying to be oh, Ms Prerna, I know all the answer types. So you have different kind of emotions, and then your classroom is filled with variety of things, and that I'm really happy. So sometime in the classroom it's crazy, but it makes you feel, okay, this is where I want to be. I do not like to be anywhere but in the classroom, teach and then talk with them and then listen to them, and then sometimes it's crazy thing happening.
I was thinking about there's interesting research that shows while young, that children's brains are structurally and in every way possible very different from adult brains. That children are not just small adults. Their brains work very differently than adult brains do. And that's a topic for another day, maybe, of like what those differences are. But one thing that I think is really interesting is that the child brain is wired to be much more creative than adults. Adult brains are less creative than child brains.
Mhm.
Um, and spending time around children for an adult can actually help ignite a more creative brain.
Ignite, yeah.
And there's a specific test or a type of test that you can do. For example, find a everyday object like this is a safety pin. If you take a safety pin and you show it to an adult and you say, "What are all the things you can do with a safety pin?" An adult is more likely going to say, "Pin my clothes."
Pin my clothes.
A child might say, "Ooh, it's a boat in the ocean. It's a fish. We could attach it to a piece of string and make a balloon," or they will think of like a million things. And then I think back to they used the same test with Albert Einstein, who is a famous scientist.
Famous scientist, yeah.
And known to be very, very smart. But if you ask his teachers, he was bad at math. He was very, very messy. He had speech delays. He didn't learn to speak until much late. He was like 5 or 6 when he started to speak, which is very late for children. But when they did the test with Einstein on what would you do, it wasn't a paper clip, but it was something like that. He was as creative as a child. His brain worked like a child's brain. Now, as an adult, he had the creative brain and he had the skilled brain. So it's very interesting to think about also to your point, what we gain from working with children and how that shapes our brains too.
Brains. The energy they give us, no? Like we talk about, you transfer energy in the classroom. So if they are active and I'm active, if they talk about things and then food, the kids, so it's like getting energy from each other. So I get a lot of active energy in the classroom, and that makes
Yes.
me going throughout my day or a week.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense because you also really enjoy that physical activity as well and have that energy. As you are looking to the future of education, what are you most intrigued to learn more about or get more skilled in?
One thing is, I'm not a voracious reader, right? I read. It is very difficult for me to sit down and read myself, but then I'm trying my best to sit down every day, morning also, evening also, one chapter, because I wanted to read. I really wanted to read, but it is not happening. It's like maybe I'm not getting the exact book that I wanted to read. I noticed I love to read a technical book, like how to be a better teacher. So these kind of book I love to read. But when it comes to other things, my reading habit is like, once the story gets bored, my brain is, I do not want to read any further. I'm not curious about it. But I think I am more into the books, like, or the tips to the teacher or something that I can do it then and there. And if I think there was one book, Flood was one book that I finished it within a week. So I'm just looking for those type of book. And then the skill that I want to develop is reading, lot of reading habits. But I don't know. I'm trying my best to. I read the book, read along book for the student and for myself. But then the reading habit has not become like how I see in other teachers. It's not had not come to me.
Do
I
you
think
listen?
I want to.
Do you listen to
I
books?
No, I have not. So I can try that, right?
You can. And I was just thinking, like, you already feel very motivated to
Hmm.
work out and get physical exercise. And so as you were speaking, I was thinking, well, why not while you're working out, listen to a book? Because you can switch back and forth between
Hmm.
the physical book and the audiobook, or you could just do the audiobook.
Hmm.
I suggest to my students all the time of clarify what is your goal? Because if your goal is to learn more through books, then why not listen? If your goal is that you need to practice physically reading, then you can listen while you're reading as well to sort of get your eyes and your ears, and that can be more interesting. You could also look for more interesting books to grab your attention. So that's something to think about too. And you can also adjust the speed. You strike me as someone who thinks very quickly, and you might actually you can increase the speed that you listen to a book to, and that might actually help your brain stay more interested if it's like keeping up with how quickly that you think. I am a very slow thinker, so I can only listen to books like at the regular speed, and sometimes I even slow it down a little bit because like my brain needs a lot of time to like think things through. But then once I understand it all connects, so figuring out how your brain works and like what your real goal is here, because I think if your goal, yeah, what is your goal with reading?
Yeah, I think I wanted to read and learn more. Audiobook will help me because
Yeah.
I am most of the time with music.
Okay.
When
Yeah.
I work,
Yeah.
when I'm working, it's music. It's all the time music. Maybe
Yeah.
because of that, I'm not able to read because I'm into listening a lot. Could be
Yeah.
I'm just connecting, because I listen. Many people knocks at my door and I am not there because I'm already listening. Some are annoyed, right? But then they know that I listen to because I feel okay. This is my space, and I just wanted to listen. I
Yeah.
think that would. I have never tried the audiobook for myself.
Yeah.
I have the audio with the student, and then
Yeah.
because I want them to listen and learn, but I
Yeah.
never tried for myself. I think I will try this one.
Experiment, see what,
Ex-
maybe it's a disaster, but maybe it's great. We don't know, but
Mm.
it totally.
I will definitely.
Let's try, because I started listening to audiobooks because I'm the opposite. I understand things better when I read them. I have a hard time
Listening.
processing sound, like words, not music I'm fine with, but with, actually, no,
Words.
music with lyrics, I never know what anybody is saying. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just listening to the music. But I started actually, this is what I mean about what is your goal, because I realized that my goal was to train my brain to be more comfortable understanding spoken language. And so I started to listen to books I already had read and I like, because again, my goal is to get better at listening. So I started with that. And then I know this has been years now of practicing, but now when I listen to a book, one that I've never read, I understand it better. I'm still better at reading than I am at listening, but I've gotten the listening skill much stronger, and that's helpful because so much of the world is human beings talking to each other. So it really helps to
Mhm.
get better at that. And then I reward myself with the easier task, which is like, okay, now you can read a book because for me, that part is easier. So that's what I mean about like figuring out how your brain works and then deciding where do I want to strengthen my skills and how to do that, and where do I want to lean into my strengths and like find the balance there. But this, yeah, it might be fun to listen to books.
I will definitely write to you after how I feel after a
Yeah, tell
after
me.
a week, and then I want to try because I am forcing myself. I keep the book and then I keep annotating. No, that's the problem. I keep annotating and writing things,
Oh,
but then not. It's not coming. It's not like I see other teachers like, oh, they have to finish in one. I am like, oh my god, it's like a drag for me right now. Morning I come and read. I read when I have to, like every day I read, but that is one is the class for preparation class. I read.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
listen to the pronunciation. I want to be. good with that. But when it comes to my pleasure reading, I don't know what kind of book. It's so difficult for me. I think I will try my listening time, and then let's see how it helps, because I know until and unless I read or I feel this is how I'm going to help, this is what I'm going to do for my student, I'll not be able to help the non-readers. It will be very tasking.
Yeah.
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 So another thing that I really wanted to work is Taxi have lots of new teachers who are very young. So therefore I wanted to help them to grow as a teacher. One thing that I really wanted to do, because this institution had helped me to be a very different teacher, or had helped me to grow as a teacher. So I wanted whatever I have learned to give it to them also. So that's one of the another thing that I would love to work on, how to do it. I've started, it's my second year where I'm helping. I am the guide, and I have, last year I had 2 apprentices, now I have 4 apprentices. I'm trying to help them how to be a better teacher, like showing a lot of modeling classes, getting feedback from them. And the second class, they do it without me. So I think this institution this institution is a place where new teachers can flourish a lot. So you will see almost 80% of the teachers are newcomers and without experience, without any knowledge about teaching. So they come to us very fresh, and we, or is the old teachers are helping them. So one of the thing that I really wanted to work is, how can I help them to be a better teacher every day? So planning with them, sitting with them, and understanding what they want to learn and how do they want to learn. So this is something that I am working, because the schools felt like, I am ready to be a guide, which is a great opportunity for me to give it to them.
Last question. What message would you or advice would you want to give to somebody who is thinking about becoming a teacher or just starting their journey as a teacher? What advice do you have to give to someone like that?
First of all, I would say, do not listen to the previous teacher when somebody says, like, I don't know how to phrase this. Do not, if somebody says, oh, he's weak, or when before knowing the kids, you sit down with the student, try to understand, don't listen to what the other says, right? You start fresh with that kid, and every individual is very different. So
Yeah.
the first thing that I would say is, don't assume about any child. They have their own story to tell. They are very unique. Sit down with them, talk to them, and be a very reflective teacher, and also think that it's okay to make mistake. You are not perfect, and help student to ask question, help student to solve their own problem, help student to understand the new world. I think these are the some important thing a teacher can do, and also make them feel happy in the classroom. Once they are very happy inside their classroom, and they will give you a positive vibe. And also, one thing I realized with time is, when we were young, when I was, for example, when I was a student, my parents were not that much educated. There was no AI, there was no YouTube, there were no Facebook. And my parents or grandparents were not very ambitious, not very competitive. Whereas this generation, I feel they have so much to fulfill. For example, parents are very ambitious. They see a lot of things in Facebook, Instagram, and their imagination, their creativity, there are too much to handle in their brain compared to us. So I think I think we need to understand them. So we are into, do not force them, give them time to process, because I think this generation are really, really more occupied in the brain compared to us. So I think it's very important to go slow with them.
Beautiful. I think that is great advice. And I really like what you said too about making sure students are enjoying being in the classroom. It sounds simple, or it sounds like, what does it matter? But I do think when you feel safe and you enjoy where you are, you're more open to learning and you're more receptive. So it isn't just to be nice. It's not just a nice thing that you said. I think that's really important to learning, and your students are probably able to take more in because they feel safe and they feel like you see them and you care about them. Prerna, before I let you go, are there organizations or people that you would like to shout out today?
Taktse International School. If you wanted to be a great teacher, not only just a teacher, a great teacher, where the importance is given to the teacher, not only to the student. There will be a lot of professional development. There will be a lot of where everybody is given opportunity, equal opportunity, even if you are a newcomer or even if you are a 1 year teacher. So I think that kind of opportunity is given in this particular school. So what I mean to say, this institution is for not only the students. School gets so much for the teachers. They care for the teachers a lot.
Yes, yes. I think that's been very clear speaking with you and others of the support that teachers have for their own growth and support also for maybe experimenting and trying new things and taking risks. It sounds like an incredible place to grow as a teacher as well as a student. Yeah, yeah.
They look after the health of the teacher. They look after the well-being of the teacher. They also listen to you. They listen to you and they also look at your strength and the weaknesses and give you opportunity according to your strength.
Awesome. All right. Well, Prerna, it's so nice to have you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and knowledge and your experiences.
Thank you.
If you've enjoyed today's discussion, I invite you to share this episode and subscribe to Able Pathways podcast on your favorite platform. Your support helps us to share these meaningful conversations with more people. Have thoughts about this episode or suggestions for future guests? We would love to hear from you. Leave us a comment or email us at hello@ablepathways.com. Until next time, I'm Annabelle, reminding you that there are infinite pathways to growth. May you travel yours with curiosity and courage.